2020 ITTF World Tour Platinum German Open, coming to you live from Magdeburg, Germany. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow, and that is朱雨玲. Previously, one of the most dominant players in the game, has had about a year and a half of slump. And by that standard, she's still world rank number 6. Liu Xuwen running through a bit of cloud walking of her own here. In the most literal sense, not walking on them so much, but through them. A little smoke cloud jogger. Doesn't have quite the same ring as Xu Xin's nickname. Liu Xuwen last year, just too good. Capturing the hearts of fans after winning the World Championships and the Women's World Cup for her 5th time.
Red for you.
Red for Liu Xuwen.
It's red. Service. This side.
There we have it. Liu Xuwen will serve, and朱雨玲will be on the right side of the table. I expect this to be fierce. Fierce for many reasons.朱雨玲, while she's very friendly, kind, and approachable, is definitely a strong opponent on the table. Liu Xuwen, well, she's cool in many ways, and she's great to watch, and I understand why she has the amazing fan club that she does. Her determination and her fight on the table, she is definitely a fighter. 2019 was her year. 2 of the biggest tournaments of the year, the biggest and another to follow. She had no mercy, not a mercy point in the 5th. Not against Ding Ning, not against Chun Meng. But Chun Meng is waiting for the winner of this match. It is quite a strong field out here with Ding Ning and Wang Manyu, Chun Meng waiting. If Liu Xuwen makes this, I mean, we're potentially looking at, well, I'd say 3 of those 4 players seem almost certain to be at the Olympic Games in teams one way or another. But I can't even say that with any certainty, because 4 of the 5 that are contenders, really strong contenders for the Olympic Games, were in the quarterfinals. Sun Yingsha, one of them. And how you perform against Chinese teammates is not quite as big of a consideration for the Olympic Games, because if you've made it to the final and it's a China-China final in Tokyo 2020, you've done your job. At that point, it's like, if you have 2 kids, who are you rooting for? You just let them play, you love them both, and it's not that important to you who takes the gold medal. It comes back to the family, it comes back to China. So taped up on the arm, Liu Xuwen, 28 years old versus the 25-year-old朱雨玲on screen. She steps back here to get into the looping action. She is the 5th seed, runner-up in Austria and in Hungary, semi-finalist in China. For her standards before, after being world number 1 on and off for a good year and a half, 2 years with Chun Meng. A bit of a dip in the rankings. Now, 25 years old, there's still a few years here for朱雨玲to find real confidence. Liu Xuwen knows this and knows it well. As strong as she was, despite being world number 1 for a good portion of her career, still, against Feng Tianwei, had nightmares. Some losses here and there that must have brought up the question, is she fit to play the Olympic Games in singles? Liu Xuwen was the only player that wasn't beaten by Miu Hirano in the 2017 Asian Championships of the Big 4 from China. Germany's Stefan Volschlager, our umpire for the match. He was smiling because I said it right. Seems unlikely that he's listening to me right now, but that's why he was smiling. Anyway, Irina Semizorova from Russia, our assistant umpire. Liu Xuwen also was beaten at the 2016 Olympic trials in Hong Kong by Hong Kong player Du Hoi Kem. At the time, she was world number 1, Liu Xuwen. And that's the type of thing you don't want to have to worry about. If you're CTTA, if you're Liu Guoliang, any of the coaches, you don't want to have to worry about someone being beaten by a foreigner, having a final that is not China-China. 2 players will be on opposite halves of the draw, but here they face best of 7.
1 love.
A deceptive shovel serve here from Liu Xuwen. Oh, beautiful inside-out forehand. Look at the bend on that ball, coming back from a forehand flick.朱雨玲with some graceful play here. And the follow-through, too. See where she stops? Quick to recoil if she needs. Pinned in that backhand, waiting patiently, not making any moves until Liu詩雯shows where she's going to go. Zhu Yuling still winning probably my favorite match in the women's game against Liu詩雯in 2017. Markham, Canada, the Women's World Cup final.
2-all.
There were so many things to love about that match. The drama, the controversy, the comeback. It's always interesting when someone makes a claim and people call that person crazy and then they turn out to be right.
2-3.
Zhu Yuling was the only person in the stadium to hear an edge ball. And the stadium got to witness in video replay that she was right. But the call still went to Liu詩雯. Good backhand here for the angle. Just inside the baseline at the first towel break. Zhu Yuling leading 4-2. Now, one thing I can say to compliment Zhu Yuling, despite the fact that she's been having a tough time in the last year and a half, is that her game is incredibly solid, incredibly versatile and adaptable. I think it might be just confidence. It's gotten in the way, a little mental blockage here and there, which happens to the best of them. Ma Long before 2015 lost some big titles.
2-6.
Yet he found a way to overcome. Liu Guoliang style serve. Hadn't seen that in the women's game so much. Didn't quite do the step that Liu Guoliang would do with the right leg, but the stance from the start. I've seen it from Xu Xin so far in this tournament after a service warning. From now, Liu詩雯as well. But good counter here as Zhu Yuling drives it deep on the table. 4-point lead. Now head-to-head, these two have played 23 times. 23 times. Liu詩雯has won 14 of them. That means 9 for Zhu Yuling.
8-3.
Interestingly enough, 3-9 is sankyu in Japanese. Which often sounds like the way you would say thank you in Japan, in English. From the backhand corner, turning to use the forehand. Zhu Yuling controlling 7 game points to take the first. Beautiful angle here from the baseline, finds an out-of-reach backhand. Flirting with disaster, dangerously living on the edge. And a bold adventure here starts it off well. Game number 1 to Zhu Yuling. Will be back for game number 2 right after this.
Second game, Zhu to serve, level.
Players back for game number 2. Zhu Yuling in control after a dominant game 1. A little fortune for the world champion. Start off game 2. Turned sideways like we saw from Xia earlier for that powerful backhand.朱雨玲creating a little bit more backswing there, hence the turning sideways. Warp speed here. These exchanges every year at the Star Awards, typically there's a point or two from the top Chinese women this fast. This year it was Lily Zhang nominated against, I think it was against Liu Shiwen, maybe against Miu Hirano.
1-2. Two all. Let's talk.
So the last time these two played was the Women's World Cup, and it was a 4-2 victory for Liu Shiwen.
3-2.
A good heavy push here. A lot of underspin to lift as Liu Shiwen turns the corner for the forehand attack. One thing that did change for Liu Shiwen, she was feeling down about herself. That was the weight training, the strength conditioning. Sometimes putting on a bit of muscle can really make the difference. Marie Migaud of France having an incredible, I think it was semi-final or round before, against the women of India, beating two very strong players, Marie Migaud. Minnie Su as well put on a bit of muscle. Started beating some of the top players in the world, became the second player for the Hong Kong team. Now, while I mentioned that Liu Shiwen won last time they played,朱雨玲won 2 of the last 3 and 5 of the last 7 times they played. So in recent years,朱雨玲has been the strong favorite. Right at the baseline of the table, a solid quick drive here as朱雨玲adds to the score here for a 2-point lead. Started to say 6-3. Unless the mic cut out. We'll see after this serve. Right down the line. Crisp and risky backhand. So Liu Shiwen now has the serve. 3-7 would be the proper score. There it is, Liu Guoliang's serve. Right into the elbow. Liu Shiwen making her way back in, or at least trying. As we get into the second towel break, a little bit of context here in terms of bigger picture, the story between these two.朱雨玲will not play the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020. Now, I can't be sure of that, like just about everything else in life, but it seems overwhelmingly the case that she's not to be put in a position right now of massive responsibility where nerve could come into play. Liu Shiwen seems like a strong contender to be there. In almost every aspect, in singles and teams, seems like an obvious choice the way she's been playing. But Chun Meng did control the World Tour last year with 4 titles. She also has maintained the #1 spot for quite some time now. I think I can find that easily on ITTF's new website for rankings. This is good positioning from朱Ling, staying deep in that backhand court, covering with the backhand. But just in case she needs to move out to the forehand, you can see her start to come more central. Players asked to play, as I mentioned before, top Chinese women tend to take a little bit more time when playing against each other.
6-9.
It's a risky serve, short to the forehand, especially from the middle of the table. Zhu Yuling there. Some new shoes. Used to seeing her with the sunshine shoes, bright yellow and orange. Perfect placement into the crossover point as Liu Shiwen chases to get back in, down by just 2 now. It's a very circular motion to Liu Shiwen's game, more than most. You can see it in the warm-up, and you can even see it in the rallies. That one comes dangerously close to the edge. Wang Manyu got 2 under pressure to take down Xia Xia, but now it's 3 game points for Zhu Yuling. That is very impressive, because when Liu Shiwen had to drop low for that ball, you can often get lightheaded coming back up. And we see someone squat to recover a shot. She was able to regain composure, take control of the point. And all that jumping around and quick movement to respond. Reactionary point gets Liu Shiwen serve back against 2 game points. Good angle here, deep to the corner. 2 game points saved. Keeping Zhu Yuling a bit behind the table. I've seen Zhu Yuling fish, but I can't recall seeing her lob. 9 serving 10. And Zhu Yuling recovers, has the opportunity after some defense early in the point to turn around and take the attack. 11-9, Zhu Yuling with a 2-0 lead. Will be back for game 3. The Women's World Cup final rematch right here to start off the World Tour in 2020. Game 3 right after this.
Prestigeträchtige Veranstaltung, natürlich auch mit den deutschen Stars und mit den Siegern der verschiedenen Kontinentalwettbewerbe im Düsseldorfer ISS-Dom. Weitere Informationen auf tt-worldcup.de.
You to serve, level.
Players back for game number 3. Zhu Yuling in Blue Yuling, leading 2-0. Interesting. With all the Ling rhymes. Ling means 0 in Mandarin.
To left.
Just thinking about that in relation to the scoreboard. To love. To live. What is life? Serves with Zhu Yuling, 2-0.
Three left.
No timeout for Liu Shiwen, no coaches in the corners. Yep, timeout, here it is.
Out you.
Just thinking if not now, then when? You're down 0-3. This is time to turn things around. Still early enough in game 3. Zhu Yuling is at a dominant record against Liu Shiwen in their recent history, despite the fact that the world champion Liu Shiwen won their last encounter at the end of last year. And I said I'd tell you about Chun Meng and her world ranking. It was up and down for the #1 world ranking, but has stayed #1 in the world since June of last year. I was looking for May, but for some reason when I moved my finger over that part of the rankings on ITTF.com, it skips from April to June, so I don't know where she was in May. Maybe there's a way to zoom in. I'm sure there is. All right, so on the timeout here, what does Liu Shiwen need to do to cause some trouble to Zhu Yuling? Liu Shiwen tends to be very good with the angles, the over-the-table game. She can get Zhu Yuling a little bit behind the table. Zhu Yuling the more powerful of the two players. Liu Shiwen more compact in her strokes.
3 love.
So back from the timeout, let's see what Liu Shiwen has in store, down 0-3. Gets in over the table. That's it for me, the short game. Coming in early, playing surprising angles. It's not always going to be so easy to end the point that quickly, but generally, getting into the rallies with Zhu Yuling is going to be tough if Zhu Yuling's not behind the table.
Net 1-3.
And by tough, I mean maybe not in Liu Shiwen's favor. Now, I've seen Liu Shiwen quite powerful before, but it doesn't look like that's the case in this moment. Zhu Yuling really just taking the power out by keeping it deep and spinny. One decently fast shot, that second to last ball off the forehand of Liu Shiwen. But by her standards, she's usually much more imposing on the opponent. There you go, bigger forehand. The reaction from Zhu Yuling a little bit surprising. I don't know if she thought it was off the table, but watch her reaction to this forehand. Huh, it's bizarre. Isn't it? It looked like it was within reach. The ball wasn't right at the baseline of the table, so that shouldn't have been a shock. Maybe it wasn't as in reach as I thought. Maybe she was simply surprised by the placement. 2 serving 4.
5-2.
So I think we've got the serve marker backwards on screen. Yeah, serves with Zhu Yuling right now. Second serve here for Zhu Yuling, looking for that 6-2 lead. So the timeout has not really come back yet to help out Liu Shiwen. Hasn't been able to get into the rallies the way she did. First point out of the timeout, yes.
2-7. Net 2-7.
Good touch inside the table. Zhu Yuling not leaving a high enough ball for Liu Shiwen to really take control of. 8 serving 2. A good parallel backhand, a bit of side spin introduced though from Liu Shiwen as the next ball carries off. There it is, the side spin from the forehand. Makes it a little bit tougher for Zhu Yuling to control, especially considering that ball was played right on the elbow. Off the top of the net, but still as quick as a backhand can be. That's a beautiful shot from Zhu Yuling. Covers the middle there with the backhand, turns for the forehand, and as wristy and risky as can be, right where the white lines meet. Short stroke from Zhu Yuling. That's part of the compact game and the versatility that makes her so dangerous. Now to the wide forehand. Zhu Yuling 7 game points now for a 3-0 lead. And right out wide to the forehand side, Zhu Yuling dominates here. 3-0, Zhu Yuling leads. 2 games now, 11-3. Well, a lot of walking to do, about 500 miles for Liu Shiwen in game number 4. Enough music puns for now. We'll be back for game 4 right after this.